dedicated to eastern and southern Kentucky. This is WYMT Mountain News Weekend Edition.
Good evening, I'm Keaton Hall. Strong to severe storms are possible as we close out the weekend. Let's check in with meteorologist Cameron Aaron for the latest on this first alert weather day. Cameron.
Yeah, Keaton, we are tracking the potential for a few strong to severe storms across the mountains into this evening. Here's a live look over at I-75 at this moment. Over in London, current temperature sitting at 74 degrees. Looking at a cloudy sky, all is quiet in this location at the moment. Temperatures not bad in the upper 70s for most of us. 78 in Jackson, 77 for Pikeville, 74 over in London, 70 in Somerset. They had a few showers earlier today. We did have a couple of severe thunderstorm warnings to the west of us over portions of south central Kentucky, but for most of us, we are looking at some spotty showers right now over portions of Bell County into Harlan County. Also looking at some showers into portions of Knox and Clay counties as well. None of these are severe at the moment, but most of us are included in a level 2 slight risk of severe weather from Pikeville to Hazard to Mount Vernon and back towards the north. All of us included in that level 2 slight risk of severe weather. The overall threat is not huge, but we could see a couple of strong to severe storms this evening, so be sure to have a way to receive warnings just in case. I have that full forecast coming up in just a little bit. Keaton.
Thank you, Cameron. The Log Cathedral in Buckhorn is the only site in Perry County on the Register for Historic Places. It survived the flood with damage only to the basement. And today, Buckhorn Lake Area Presbyterian Church held their first service since the flood in the cathedral. WYMT's Chandler Wilcox details how important the Log Cathedral is to the history of this area.
The Log Cathedral was built in 1928 as a place Appalachians could worship. It has since been named on the Register for Historic Places and stands in the limelight of Buckhorn history.
Well, the church itself has always been a center for this community.
The church survived through 20 feet of water in the 1957 flood, and thanks to a newly built dam, water did not reach the sanctuary, showing hope in a time of tragedy.
I believe it's a sign from God that He wants the mission of this place, His mission through this church to continue in this place.
And that's what Buckhorn Lake Area Presbyterian Church did for the first time since the flood.
We needed this today. We needed to come together as a unit, and we needed to hear God's word, and we need to see what's expected of us and where we need to go from here.
Since the Log Cathedral was salvaged, it is now a place for donations and peace for flood victims.
This church, especially a church of this size, becomes a really important asset.
The gathering proves what community can do in tough times.
That brings people together, and we overlook what might on a good day be a difference, and we say this is another human being that needs help.
A bright spot shining through the darkness. In Buckhorn, Chandler Wilcox, WYMT Mountain News.
What's that? The Buckhorn Lake Area Presbyterian Church will continue having services in the Log Cathedral every Sunday. Operation BBQ Relief has set up at Food City in Hazard for the last few weeks and sent meals to flood victims. The relief group has given out around 90,000 meals so far in 23 days. Member of Operation BBQ Relief, Michelle Rusick, says it's their mission to bring joy to the people of eastern Kentucky.
We've had a lot of community outreach. We've seen stories of hope and compassion and love, and getting that hot meal that matters to the citizens of these 7 counties that were affected is what's most important to us.
Operation BBQ Relief will be in Hazard until Wednesday. As flood relief efforts continue across our region, so does support from folks outside of the mountains. The Hazel Green Food Project in Wolfe County is receiving support from several people in Ohio to help those impacted by the flood. Flood Project volunteer and Ohio resident Vanessa Treft has been working on the ground level with those in need nearly every day since the flood happened. Treft says she has seen a disconnect between charitable organizations and the countless people who still need assistance.
The only way logistically to get this done is to utilize your fire chief or anybody out of the fire department with these government organizations to go door to door. You got to remember, people don't have vehicles, they don't have Wi-Fi, they don't have cell phone service, so how are they supposed to know what they need to do?
Those with the Hazel Green Food Project say they are grateful for the support they've received in gathering donations, but they need the help to continue in order to sustain those in need. Many folks in and around the city of Hazard will no longer have to worry about the safety of their drinking water. Officials with the City of Hazard Utilities announced the boil water advisory was lifted for portions of Perry County on Sunday. The following areas were lifted: the entire city limits of Hazard, Airport Gardens, the Village Shopping Center, all areas between West Perry and East Perry. Officials said they will announce when other areas are also lifted from the advisory. The flooding in eastern Kentucky has laid waste to much of its low-lying landscape. Within those very areas are some of the most valuable plants and animals the region produce. Jeremy Toms is in Breathitt County to show the short and long-term effects that this natural disaster could take on the agriculture industry.
Many eastern Kentuckians lived off the very land they saw submerged during last month's flooding. UK professor Jimmy Henning says the immeasurable damage that's been dealt here could impact the farms and hayfields of this region for years to come.
The reason why it's devastating to agriculture in that zone, in that area, is that most of our best land is going to be in those lower areas.
Henning says livestock and hay serve as two of eastern Kentucky's main agricultural products, and they were right in the path of the flooding. The high waters killed off high-value crops and left behind a muddy mess to clean up.
This hay and pasture gets covered up by mud and silt. So you've got a physical problem. You've got to remove it or let the plants that will survive grow up through it.
Just as the water washed out homes and roadways, it also swept away animals. For the farmers who still have their livestock, they face the challenge of caring for those animals now, often without any feed or important farming infrastructure.
You can't have the animals unless you've got a way to contain them. If you've got hogs, you've got to have them in a lot. If you've got cattle, you got to have them in a fence, horses in a fence.
So Arch Sebastian and the Mountain Cattlemen's Association are collecting and giving out donations of feed and other supplies to help people in the industry get through these trying times. Sebastian says that since so many people have been left with no place to go, he worries that a significant number of farmers will leave eastern Kentucky. So he's hopeful that these shows of support will continue to come in and will help them make the decision to stay. In Breathitt County, Jeremy Toms, WKYT.
Sebastian says farmers in need of feed or other donated products should get in touch with their local cooperative extension service. The Laurel County Sheriff's Office is asking for your help in locating a missing woman. Officials say 60-year-old Beverly Couch was reported missing after she was last seen on Laurel River Road, which is about 6 miles southeast of London. Couch was last seen yesterday around 2 p.m. Officials say she's described as having mental disabilities. If you have any information as to Couch's location, you're asked to call either of the numbers you see there on your screen. 9 people were arrested after an incident at the Kentucky State Fair just after 9 p.m. last night. State police say they responded to a disturbance in front of the Midway and arrested 8 individuals, while State Fair police took another person into custody. 3 of them were adults, 6 were minors, and all were from Jefferson County. Charges include disorderly conduct, menacing, possession of stolen property, and possession of a handgun. As a safety precaution, the fair closed early. Initial reports indicate fairgoers reported hearing gunshots, but police later learned a group of people caused panic with noise-making devices.
We didn't know what was going on, but we just heard it out of nowhere. We were just walking, and then we ran all the way on the other side of the building, all the way out the back, and we walked all the way to the front gate to a hotel, like near somewhere closer, but it was like a long walk, so we just kept running.
Again, we are not sure if this was actually a shooting or not, as KSB is only calling it an incident right now. This is a developing story, and we'll continue to follow it throughout the day. Nearly 2 months ago, a devastating shooting took the lives of 3 officers and 1 K9 officer in Floyd County. Now people in Jessamine County are coming together to show support for their police officer and their own K9. Jessamine County Sheriff's Office received an anonymous donation to buy a bulletproof vest for the K9 officer, Macho Man. Sheriff Anthony Purcell says someone called and told them to pick out whichever vest they wanted for Macho and then sent the money for it. The vest can cost upward of $800. People in Jessamine County commented on a Facebook post from the police department saying how special this donation is. And Sheriff Purcell says they're all so grateful for the donation and the positive reactions from the community.
It makes you feel, you know, definitely appreciated, because sometimes in law enforcement you don't always feel that way. And, you know, everybody, you know, making the comments, you know, the donation in and of itself, it does. It makes you feel good. And, you know, it lets you know where you stand in the community.
And while Macho Man is still getting used to wearing that bulletproof vest, the officers there say they're so grateful to have the community support. And while the woman who donated the funds wished to remain anonymous, the department says they know who she is and they're very appreciative of the gift. Coming up at 6, plenty of people are making their plans to travel during the Labor Day holiday period. We've got some tips on how to stay on a budget.
And a few strong to severe storms are possible into this evening. I have that full first alert forecast coming up.